Hey, what's up, guys? So, if you guys have been around the channel for a while, you'll probably remember this series where I called it Break It Down, where I kind of went into a specific concept, talked about my thoughts about it, and kind of give you guys in-depth look at my thoughts when I'm in the game, right? Because a lot of times I don't explain every single thought about what I'm doing and every single thought about every decision I make until asked. So I'm gonna play this while I talk actually, because this video I'm going to be breaking down how to come back into the game from behind as Samira. You can put these concepts into other champs, but I'm mostly gonna be talking like out of the lens of I'm playing Samira. What do I need to do to get back into this game? So in this game, I'm gonna skip through a lot of early lane phase because it's not really relevant and it's kind of boring. Uh, in this game, I end up kind of killing the enemy bot lane, and every time I killed the enemy bot lane, I got ganked and died. So I couldn't actually build the lead, and I actually fell behind a little bit. You'll see that I actually kill the enemy Sona here soon, but then I get ganked right after and end up dying. So I can't build the lead. I end up missing waves, losing plates, etc., etc. Um, in this type of scenario, I'm very confident that once I hit a certain item spike, I know I can just kill everyone. Um, so that's usually what I'm playing for, and you'll see that here in like the later stages of the game, I end up like farming until I can. You see, I get ganked there again. I end up farming until I know that I'm able to kill everyone, and at least put a good amount of impact on the team fight. Even when I fall behind, I'm not really that worried because I know it only takes one team fight to get back to the game, especially for a champ like Samira who just has such a big presence on skirmishes. Like, the lane is not where Samira really excels. It's not really what I'm playing for. Like, yes, getting a lead in lane, if you do, she's one of the better champs at snowballing. But where she really excels is playing for skirmishes. So even when I fall behind in the early game, I know that I can easily always just come back in the mid game. Um, So in this game, my team actually ends up playing topside. You can see on the map, like all the plays are happening topside. My support even starts walking up topside. Um, so what I end up doing is, while the enemy team is moving topside, I just farm and get plates, farm and get plates. Here I actually kill the enemy bot lane, but I can't even get a lead off it really because I get ganked right after. So I just have to die to Sona. Um, I think in a lot of times what a lower elo player would do is in these scenarios where they would just group with their team, right? I'm behind. My team isn't as behind as me. Let me group and help them. But the thing is, I'm not that much help to them here at this stage of the game. I only have Collector. I don't have enough damage to really put any good damage on their tanks. And you can even see um, in the later stages of the game, in about a minute or so, my Renekton will spam ping me to group and I will just ignore him. Because I know that I need to hit a certain item spike to actually be relevant in the game. And I have confidence in what I can do and know what my champ can do, right? I know that a fight one-on-one against Caitlyn is way easier than a 5v5 against a Fed, Udyr, Set, and Sona. It's like here, when my team dies, my Renekton's pinging me. But I know that once I get Collector IE, then I can actually put good damage on their team. And especially once I get LDR. So here, instead of grouping early, I wait till I have my IE. And then now I'm grouping because I'm strong, right? So I group. I have IE Collector, so I know I can burst their squishy champs. So notice how I play the team fight here. I go on a flank on their back line because I don't want to actually play for front to backs. I'm playing for my win con. The most important thing to pick up from this video is I'm playing for my win con and what I can do, right? And I'm putting myself in the best scenario. So like, I don't want to be fighting front to backs in mid. Like, the reason I didn't group earlier here when the Renekton's pinging it is because it's much harder for me to go in on a flank from this position, right? Because they're all like perfectly grouped already. Even if I had walked there, I would have had to come from mid and I would have had to walk into their tanks, right? As opposed to this drag fight where I can just come in on a flank here. It's way easier since they're trying to fight my front line here. And it makes it way easier for me to flank actually. So, and not to mention that, like, the items, I actually have my Collector IE here, making it an easier fight. I find that a lot of low elo players they will get wrapped into either A, they'll see that their CS is really low, and then they will permanently just not group, or B, they will overgroup because they don't actually know where to go. Always have an objective for where you're going to be on the map and what you're trying to do. Whenever I'm doing my coaching and I see something wrong, I always ask them like, okay, what were you thinking here? As long as you have a reason for what you're doing and where you're at, then I'll never like blame you. I will tell you that maybe this decision could have been better, but there's no inherently wrong decision as long as there is an objective behind what you're doing. So for example, my objective behind being bot lane there is to play for my item spike of Collector IE and then group. I know once I have Collector IE, I can actually put good damage on all of their champs. But with just Collector, I will not put as much good damage on their champs. Thus, I don't want to group that early, right? So that would be my reasoning, right? I see a lot of people will just overgroup. They'll sit mid with their team the whole game, and then they'll wonder why they're down CS and not very relevant. And this is not a video telling you to never group. I think grouping is actually good once you have your spikes. If I was ahead in this game, I would just permagroup because I would already have my spikes, right? But since I was behind, I decided to just farm for my spike and then once I have my spike, I group then, right? So you see now that I have my spike, I'm just permanently grouping. So even if it makes your teammates upset, don't be afraid of making your teammates upset. Always play for your spikes and you, because at the end of the day, all that matters is getting the win. If your team is upset because you didn't group till the very end, but you won, you know, does it really matter? Not really. Also, a lot of people don't actually know what your champ can do. They just see you're an ADC and they're like, oh, why aren't you here dealing damage? But it's like, can I really deal good damage right now? Not really. Samira's best when playing in skirmishes, but she does not want to play in front of axe scenarios from an even or behind state. Now that I'm ahead, you can see I can put good damage on their front line, but from the place I was at before, it was not very, very possible. I'm not really focused on the micro here. I'm more focused on the macro and the decision making in this conversation, so I'm not really going to go into the ins and outs of like my team fighting. That'll be like a separate video. But the key point here is just that I got my spike and then I started grouping. That's like the biggest point. And now you actually see I'm ahead. I was 1-3, down 4 plates. But it just took me to take 1 turret and get 1 kill, and I was already back in the game. Even from the behind state, I'll find a lot of people ask me, like, what do I do when I'm behind? Your 2 things you're looking for. A, getting gold and playing for your Collector IE spike. You can do this from either trying to gang up on someone, getting solo kills, or just playing on side lane and farming till you have that spike, right? Which is, I pretty much just did that here, played on side lane. Also, the thing about the advantage of going to a side lane and getting solo XP is that, you're gonna be up XP. So even if you're not that far up in gold, the XP is gonna be huge. Or B, spam playing for skirmishes. If the skirmishes are fights you can win. That's at your discretion. I can't tell you, okay, you're always going to win this skirmish, so always do this here. It depends on the game, right? If I was playing against all range champs and they had no tanks, I'd probably just spam group, because even with just Collector, I could probably just kill their whole team, right? But in this game, since they have Udyr, Set, Ahri, Sona, like they have a decent amount of CC to stop me, and those champs are difficult to burst with just Collector, I decided to just farm and take advantage of Caitlyn since she had no summoners. I find that a lot of people will listen to other people for calls, but the other people don't really know what your champ can do. So that's why I kind of just ignored Renekton, because he has no idea what my champ can do and what I'm capable of. And that's how I was able to carry this game. Like you can see, I went from 1-3 to 15-3. Sometimes you're just gonna get camped. It just happens. But just because you're behind in the early game doesn't mean you can't win the game. So in conclusion, just to sum up everything that was talked about. 1, if you're ever behind, you have options still. You have 2 options. 2, you either play for skirmishes with your team and hope for the best, or you farm up until you have to make a big decision. Making a big decision, when I say that, I'm talking about, okay, the enemy team is sieging your turrets, okay, the enemy team is pressuring Baron, or the enemy team is pressuring Dragsoul. Those are the three objectives you have to think about in your mind. So always think about the timer as to when you're forced to fight. If I'm behind, but I'm not forced to fight, you're probably not gonna see me force anything unless it's free, unless it's like I have a number advantage or I can get a free turret. I always take the free stuff when I can. If I see the enemy team on the other side of the map killing my team, like in this game, you saw the enemy team went to mid to kill my team. I just stayed bot, took the turret, got free waves, and I actually ended up like 50 CS. I ended up 80 CS doing that. Your second option is to spam skirmish with your team. You saw that after I hit my spikes, I just spam skirmish with my team. If I was ahead in this game, I would have just been skirmishing the entire time because I want to spread my lead around the map and help my team. It's not simply that I don't want to help my team. If my team was around me, then I would just be forced to fight, right? But since they're making plays elsewhere, I can either follow them and let the Caitlyn push bot, take CS, take plates, or I can stay in my lane and take advantage, right? I chose to take advantage for myself, um, and that's just that decision making is up to your discretion. I'm not telling you to always make that decision. Sometimes the better decision is to skirmish. Sometimes the better decision is to farm or play for yourself. The one thing I'll tell you not to do is don't get caught in between decisions. You have to make a decisive play and just go for it. Go all in on it. If the play is wrong, then you deal with that after. But I'll see a lot of loyal players, they'll like run back and forth between a play and doing their own thing. They don't make that they don't have the decisiveness, they don't have the confidence. You have to have the type of confidence though if you want to win a lot of games. Um and the other big point I was trying to make in this game was that make well I kind of touched on it already, but like make your own plays, make your own decisions. Don't let people dictate your decisions because in the long run, you're the only decision you can make. Maybe in one game, you'll have a teammate that tells you to make the good plays and they're good, right? But you're not always going to have that across a lot of games unless you're duo with someone. So I always tell people to make their own decisions, and then if the decision's wrong, then you learn from that and you improve from that. Um, those are like the big points of how to come back into the game is making your own decisions and playing for yourself. Pretty much having the confidence to go for your own plays, you know, um, and always having a reason for going into certain places. Like I was saying, if you were in a spot and I was to ask you why you're there and you tell me you don't know, then you shouldn't be there. Um, that's the end of the video. I really like doing these unscripted rants. I want it to feel like a conversation. That's why I don't script it. I don't like speaking off of a script. I kind of like telling you my unfiltered thoughts. Let me know if you guys like this type of video. Do you prefer a scripted video? Do you even prefer these types of videos? I like doing commentary. I like doing more commentary. Give me feedback. Things you like, things you dislike. I read all the comments. And I really appreciate that. And yeah, see you guys next video.